Hello everyone, welcome back to my IELTS stream. In today's video, we are going to talk about essay structures. We will start with the basics, why you need to follow essay structures, what is the advantage of following essay structures, and then we will move into a bit deeper. We will see the different categories that are there in the IELTS Writing Task 2, what would be the basic structure for all the categories, and how the structure would vary according to each category. Apart from this, we are also going to write an essay of agree and disagree category, following the structures and the steps that you will learn in this video. I hope that you enjoy it and you learn something new today. So, what are structures? Structures tell you what to do in each paragraph of the essay, how to start, how to continue, and how to end your writing. So, there is a different structure for each category. Structures are important because they give you a map on how to start, how to go through, how to navigate your essay, and how to end your essay as well. So that is why we are making this video today, in order to help you with your IELTS preparation by telling you about the importance of structures. Why should you follow a structure? It helps you plan your response, it saves time, it helps you satisfy task response and coherence and cohesion. Now, if you know about the criteria on the basis of which IELTS examiners mark your essays, you would know that there are 4 different things that they look at. First is task response, then coherence and cohesion, grammatical range and accuracy, and lexical resource. So, a structure helps you satisfy the first 2 criteria, task response and coherence and cohesion. And it also tells you exactly what you need to do on the test day. If you make a habit of following a structure and throughout your preparation you follow a structure and write all your essays, so this builds up a memory in your mind, and on your exam day you are able to follow the same steps and you have a really good plan that you have tried and tested previously, and you walk on that plan and it really works for you very well. Myths. Now, there are certain myths regarding structures because there are a lot of people who are spreading false information about this. Now, what you need to do is that you need to be clear what a structure will do for you and what it will not do for you. Structures are not a shortcut to scoring bands. Now, just because you know a structure, it does not mean that you will straight away score 6.5 or 7 or more in your essay. Structures definitely help and they are crucial to your success, but at the same time, they are not the only stepping stone towards your success. You still need to do other things. Following a structure does not mean that you do not need to have relevant ideas. Now, in order to satisfy task response, you also need to have relevant ideas. Relevant ideas as in ideas that actually answer your question. Just because you have a proper pattern to your essay, it does not mean that you can write anything and just follow a pattern and come back and you will get a good score. That's not how it works. You need to have a good pattern, but at the same time, you need to have relevant ideas. You will still need to have accurate grammar and vocabulary. Don't forget that there are 4 criteria on the basis of which they will judge you. Structure satisfies 2 of them. You still need to work on grammatical range and accuracy and your vocabulary. What are the different categories? The first one is the easiest one. Do you agree or disagree? In this one, you will be given one argument and you will be asked if you are agreeing or if you're disagreeing with that argument. You are supposed to take one stand. That's the best way. You are allowed to take a diplomatic stand, but that is not the smartest way to approach this category, because then it gets more difficult to justify your answer. So it's better to take one side and then justify your argument. What are the advantages and disadvantages? So now you might be facing a fact or you might be facing an opinion, and your task is to talk about what are the benefits and what are the losses of this particular opinion. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Now, this is a bit similar to the second category, but still it is importantly different. Why? Because if you mix up the 2 categories, you will lose a lot in task achievement. In this one, you're supposed to actually take a side and say, are there more benefits or are there more disadvantages to the concept in the question? Discuss both views and give your opinion. In this question, you will be presented with two different arguments. You will have to explain both the arguments and you have to give your opinion at the same time. So you will need to take one side. You are again allowed to take two, like a diplomatic stand, but I would not really advise that. What are the problems associated and solutions? In this question, you will be given an issue and you will be asked what are the problems associated. So you are required to talk about the different problems that are occurring because of the problem given in the question, and you are supposed to talk about the solutions as well. What are the causes and solutions? We're at number 6. Causes means reasons. Now, you will be given an issue in the question and you will be asked what are the causes. So you will need to tell the examiner exactly what are the reasons of this particular issue, and you will be also needing to write the solutions for the issue. Is this a positive or a negative development? Now, this is pretty similar to the first category that we discussed. Do you agree or disagree? So in do you agree or disagree, you were required to take one side and produce two ideas or arguments in your favor. The same goes for, is this a positive or a negative development? Why? Because here as well, you should take one side and you should produce two arguments to justify your side. That's it. Mixed or double question. Now this could get really difficult, or else it could get really easy, and it is very unpredictable. So you could be given a question where you would be asked what are the advantages, and at the same time you could be asked what are the causes. So mixed or double question are something that can be easy for you if the rest of the categories are easy for you, because you are required to use the logic and the structure and the pattern from all the other categories in order to have a successful attempt for a mixed or a double question. So that was the overview for all the categories, and now we are going to go ahead and look into the structures. So the basic structure for all categories. In order to make it very simple in the beginning, I would say that there will be 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph is known as the introduction, then we have body paragraph 1, then we have body paragraph 2, and we have a conclusion. So introduction more or less follows the same steps for all categories. There is something called the thesis statement which will change, and I will show you how it will change. But for now, in order to give you an introductory idea, I will say that the first thing that you're supposed to do is to paraphrase the question in the introduction. What does paraphrasing mean? It means that whatever the question is telling you about, you are supposed to write the same thing but in your own words. You should not copy the question. It will be completely ignored by the examiner. You should write the same thing in your own words, and the meaning should not change. It should remain accurate. So that's called paraphrasing. You can change grammar, you can change vocabulary, you can rephrase it, you can do any sort of modification, but the meaning should not change. It should stay the same. The second sentence is the thesis statement. The thesis statement is known as the statement where you tell your stand, like are you agreeing or are you disagreeing, like are there more advantages or disadvantages, is this a positive or a negative development, that sort of thing. That is called a thesis statement. And after the thesis is the outline. Outline are your main ideas. So an introduction, the task of an introduction is to actually tell the examiner what you are exactly going to do in the rest of your essay. So if I am your examiner, if I read your introduction, I should be able to know what's going to happen in the rest of your essay. So these 3 things: introducing the concept of the question, then giving your stand, and then giving an outline statement. This is what you're required to do in an introduction. Moving on to body paragraph 1, always leave a line. Don't mess up your paragraphs. Don't some students, what they do is that they just don't leave any line between paragraphs, whereas it's one of the easiest things to do in the world. Don't lose marks because of not leaving lines. That's really going to hurt you. So body paragraph 1, you should start with your main idea. That should be the title sentence. The first sentence of your body paragraph should be the idea, clearly stating idea straightforward. That's it. That's what you are required to do. No beating around the bush, no background statements, no general introductions, straightway your idea. Then you have to explain it, and then you have to give an example for it. That's it. You should explain your idea starting from the second sentence of the body paragraph. And the first sentence is known as the title sentence. You should only mention your idea, nothing else. Body paragraph 2 follows the same thing. This will carry your second main idea, the second idea which you mentioned in the introduction. So now the first body paragraph should talk about the first main idea, the first one you mentioned in the introduction, and the second one that you mentioned in the introduction, it should be carried into the second body para. Main idea 2, title sentence. From the second sentence, start your explanation and then end the paragraph with an example. Conclusion, you are required to again give your stand as in the thesis statement, and you are required to revise your 2 main ideas. That's all that you should do in your conclusion. Categories that need a thesis statement. Now, we are going to talk about this. Not all categories need a thesis statement, so the structure will vary a bit across the categories. So this is the list of categories where you do need to give a thesis statement. Do you agree or disagree? Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Discuss both views and give your opinion. Is this a positive or a negative development? And mixed or a double question. Now, disclaimer, I am not saying that every mixed or double question will require you to give a thesis statement. Why? Because mixed or double questions are unpredictable. They might ask for a stand, they might not. So depending on the question, you should decide if it requires a thesis statement or not. So the main thing about IELTS and essays and writing IELTS essays is that you should read the question, you should understand what it is asking for, and hence you should plan your structure. You shouldn't have a fixed map in your mind that this is what I'm going to do. Why? Because the question can change. And if you do something which is not required from you, that will make you lose marks. So in do you agree or disagree in this category, you should write a thesis statement that says, I agree or I disagree. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? The thesis statement will say, yes, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or else you would say the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, or you can frame it in any other manner, but you should say which one outweighs the other. Discuss both views and give your opinion. You should talk about which opinion you side with. So are you siding with the first opinion? Are you siding with the second opinion? That is what the thesis statement for this category is about. Is this a positive or a negative development? In this one, you should write clearly, this is a positive development or this is a negative development. Be clear. Yeah, you can use synonyms, but you should be clear in your thesis statement. Mixed or a double question, it depends on what they're asking you. If they are mixing up one of these categories into another question, then you know what to do with the thesis statement for these categories. So you will be doing the same for a mixed question that asks you for a stand. Categories that need more than one idea in a body paragraph. Now this is another variation. Now the basic structure that we talked about, the structure had one idea in each body paragraph, a single idea, but then depending on the question that could change. And these are the categories which require more than one idea in each body paragraph. What are the advantages and disadvantages? What are the causes and solutions? What are the problems associated and solutions? And mixed or a double question. So it is quite easy to point out which category would require a double idea per body paragraph. Why? Because the question itself is plural. Advantages and disadvantages, causes and solutions. problems associated, and solutions. Mixed or double question, again, this is unpredictable. Depending on what they have put into the mix, you will be required to answer the question. So I should point out one more thing, that is that even if you have double ideas in a single body paragraph, you should still explain those ideas, and you are supposed to balance out the explanation part and the examples part. So you should note that even if you write more than one idea in a single body paragraph, you are still required to develop and support your ideas, because if you go to the public version of the band descriptors, you will see that you should develop, support, and extend your main ideas. Now, how to do that, that is something a bit more deeper that we are not going to cover in this video, but as time goes ahead and as you understand more about the basic structures and the different things and the sample essay that we will show you, you will understand how to do that as well. So, well, you should know how to strike a balance. That means that you shouldn't just keep on mentioning an idea and completely explaining it and giving an example, and then mentioning another idea and again explaining it, again giving an example. So there is a way how to balance the two, and you will learn it with time. Yes, if you like this video, so please I request you subscribe to our channel. We are there both on YouTube and Facebook, and whatever questions you have, you can send us an email, you can write us in the comments, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. We have released a lot of videos about both IELTS academic and general exams, and also about basic grammar. So do subscribe, it helps us a lot. How to write an introduction. Do not include a background statement. Now, this is something that a lot of IELTS teachers tell you to do, but here at My IELTS Dream, we have never recommended any of our students to write a background statement, and we've had hundreds of students succeed through the same strategy. Now, I'm not saying that just because they didn't write a background statement, they got successful. No, but that's just part of the process. Paraphrase the question by changing the grammar and vocabulary while maintaining accuracy. Give a clear stand in thesis statement if required. Mention your main ideas in the introduction. Do not write things like, this essay will discuss the ideas in the upcoming paragraphs or the further paragraphs. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. Like I've mentioned earlier, if an examiner is reading your introduction, he or she should get a clear idea of what he or she is going to encounter in the next paragraphs. So you should state your ideas in the introduction itself. Simple introduction for an agree-disagree category. Some people say that it is better to use ebooks rather than printed copies. Do you agree or disagree? So now this is an actual question that is from IELTS, and in order to demonstrate how to follow the structure, now we are going to start writing a whole essay for you. It is said that ebooks are better than traditional hard copies. So here I have paraphrased the statement, and now I'm giving my thesis statement. I agree with this. So I am clearly stating that I agree with the concept of the question. Now I'm giving my outline statement, because ebooks are environment friendly and more convenient to use than printed versions. So it was quite easy and straightforward, and this is how you should do in your exam as well. The examiners love it when you give it to them straight away. You shouldn't beat around the bush, you shouldn't use big broad statements, you should directly paraphrase, give your thesis statement, give your outline statement. That's it, and enough for the introduction. How to write a body paragraph. You should be specific. Don't give generalized statements. Your ideas should be specific. They shouldn't just broadly talk about the subject. Have a proper title sentence which clearly states your main idea. Write a proper explanation and do not just talk about the topic in general. Write a proper explanation. How does your idea happen? How does whatever you are talking about, how does it happen, and how is it good or how is it bad? Like, in what light do you want to show it? So your explanation should be detailed and proper. Write an example at the end that demonstrates your main idea. Writing examples is essential because you should support your main ideas according to the band descriptors. So your examples should be relevant and matching with your main idea. They should not be slightly distracted. They should not be about something else. They should be about your main idea. Sample body paragraph for agree disagree, the same question that we started with. Electronic copies of books are much better for the environment. So this is our title statement. This is because they are digital and do not require any papers or ink. Now we are starting with the explanation. The second sentence starts the explanation. Now this is further explanation. The third sentence: papers are made by cutting down trees, and ink contains harmful chemicals that damage soil and water once the books are thrown away. Now this is the end of our explanation. Example: for example, ever since Kindle application was launched, the amount of deforestation has gone down drastically in countries where the app was freely available. So here what we are doing is we gave our main idea in our title sentence, and mind you, this is the same idea that we talked about in our introduction. So in the body paragraph, what we are doing is we are starting with the title sentence of the idea. Then from the second sentence we are explaining the idea, and in the examples we are demonstrating that how ebooks have been good for the environment. Body paragraph 2. Using PDF books requires much less effort as well. Now this is the second idea when we talked about in the introduction about convenience. Second sentence now starts with the explanation. They can easily be stored in phones and laptops and hardly take any disk space on the devices. Printed books are heavy and bulky. Carrying them puts a physical strain on the readers, and they take up space wherever they are put. For instance, children in the 90s had to carry heavy backpacks to school and back because of their textbooks, but ever since digital copies became popular, pupils only need to carry a laptop and some stationery with them. So here we gave a title statement, we talked about the main idea, then we talked about the explanation from the second sentence, we explained it in proper detail, even though it seems quite simple. So you might think that why do I need to explain that? It's obvious. Even if your idea is obvious, you should explain that because that is what the examiner wants to see. So please don't miss out on explanation thinking that it is too obvious. And then write an example which proves your idea. How to write a conclusion. Finally, we're at the last conclusion. To use, you need to start by using a proper discourse marker, like in conclusion or to conclude. Now I know that there are a lot of options for this. In a nutshell, to recapitulate, all in all, like that, but it's better to keep it simple and academic. So these two discourse markers are the best for conclusion, in conclusion or to conclude. Now you only need to write one essay in your exam, so it is fine if you remember just one of these two and just write either of these two in your exam. Restate your stand if the question requires you to take a stand, like your thesis statement. Clearly restate your central ideas. Do not give any general statement about the topic. So this again is quite straightforward, it's quite simple, it's concise. Write a good discourse marker, in conclusion or to conclude. If the question requires you to take a stand, restate your stand. And whatever were your main ideas, state your main ideas. That's it, your essay is done. Sample conclusion. In conclusion, I agree that ebooks should be preferred over hard copies. So I started with in conclusion and then I gave my stand. Because now I'm giving my main ideas, they cause less harm to the earth and are consumer friendly as well. So we are done with our essay. Quite straightforward, easy and simple. How to use structures for planning and saving time. Now that you know what structures are, now that you know the basic outline of structures, now that you know the difference between each categories and how the structures will vary, I want to put things into a bigger perspective, and I want you to know that how to use structures to your biggest advantage. They can be used to plan your response. Now, this is the outline of the structure. When you're in the examination hall, you get your question paper and you start looking at the paper, you start understanding the question in your mind, or else what you can do is you can ask the invigilator for a spare piece of paper for rough work, and you can note down the points. You can note down that, okay, for paraphrasing I will be using this particular synonym, and then you can talk about thesis, agree or disagree, then outline. In short, you will be writing your main ideas. And then body paragraph 1, how am I going to frame my title sentence, what am I going to include in my explanation, what would be my example. In short, you can give 3 to 5 minutes and map this out entirely. And when you start writing, now you do not need to stop at every single sentence and think, what next? What should I do next? What should I write? What word should I write? What synonym should I use? How should I explain this? So all of this will go out of the window if you have already planned out your response using the structure. So this is how I have done all of my exams. This is how hundreds of students of my IELTS Dream have done their exams, and this has helped them out a lot. Plan your response using the structure and your exam will be much easier. That is the biggest advantage of knowing a structure. So that's it for today. I hope that you learned something new, and we at My IELTS Dream are always here to help you for your IELTS preparation. It doesn't matter if you're preparing for general or academic. We help out every student, whoever contacts us. We try our best to respond to all of your emails. Our email ID is myieltsdream123@gmail.com. You can also contact us on our Facebook page, which is by the same name, My IELTS Dream. We will be happy to help you with your preparation. If there is anything that you want to learn, and if there is anything in particular that you want us to make a video on, we will be more than happy to do that. Please let us know in the comment section or contact us through any of the sources that I mentioned before. So that was it for today, and I hope you have a nice day and all the best for your IELTS preparation. Thank you for watching this video. Like, share and subscribe. Have a good day.